Kuplii took place at the last full week of March. It is actually an event from Wednesday to Sunday, but I went with my friends only for the weekend. We were very worried that there was gonna be a huge line on Saturday because last year it made it to the news, but we made it there quite early at like 10:40. We got there early for another reason. We wanted to see the Barbie magazine lecture that started at 11, and we did. We got there with plenty of time to spare. Like, the lecture hall was still pretty empty when we got there, but there were people there later. And this was a great lecture. It covered Barbie magazines from the 80s until the very early 2000s, and the lecturer had brought their own Barbie magazines that you could have a look at. This was very interesting to me because Estonia only had Barbie magazines from the 90s, because Estonia only regained independence in the 90s. We obviously didn't have Barbie magazines in the Soviet era, so it was really interesting seeing some of these Barbie magazines that were so old that I had never seen them and they weren't published in Estonian, and also some that I remember from my childhood that we did have. I had no idea that Barbie magazines used to have these classical comic style comics, and also I had no idea that Barbie magazines were at one point made by Marvel. So overall, a hugely fun, interesting lecture. Absolutely loved it. When we came out of the lecture hall, I noticed that there was already a large line. But we headed to the sales area, which also had a line, but honestly went super quick. There was no issue. I also met up with Freaky Angel at the sales area. If you want to get a much longer overview of the entire convention, make sure to check out their channel. I'll link it down below so that you can check out all of the stuff going on at the convention. A much longer show of the footage while I just do a overview. So here you can see all the stuff that they sold at Tampere Kuplii. Of course, there were loads and loads of comics, as it is a comic book festival, so that is definitely the main emphasis. But you can see they also had cute clothes, and vendors who sold cute clothes, and vendors who sold jewelry. The main vendors area is supposed to be for vendors and for like larger businesses, but as is the case with a lot of Finnish conventions, there are like full-on stores there. But there are also some vendors who are like somewhere between an artist and a vendor. They're a big enough artist that they count as a vendor, but they could also just as easily be in the artist alley when it comes to the type of stuff they sell, like they sell their own art. So it's kind of a mix, but in the large sales area there are also like large store vendors. Then at 1 we headed on to the Tampere Kuplii AMV plus AMV competition. This was the main AMV competition of the event, and you had to get place tickets at 9 in the morning via the Kompassi online booking system. So it was free like the whole event, but you still had to book a ticket. It wasn't super hard to get a ticket this time. It wasn't like Tesukan where they went out in a second. They were there for like whole 30 seconds, I would say, a couple of minutes even. So by Finnish standards, it was easy to get tickets. It still sounds insane, but like, if you got up at the right time and were at the website, it wasn't impossible by any means. So me and my friends all got tickets, and we sat sort of at the side, and here you can see the introduction of the judges. They did it with these videos that the judges had done themselves. I really enjoy it when they do it like that. It's very fun, and this was in the middle of the competition. I will show you the final video that shows you clips of all the videos that is being run while the audience voting is going on, so that you can get a nice overview of all of the videos that were at the event. But I will also, as I always try to do, link down below the AMV playlist for the Tampere Kuplii if they have put it up. I assume that they have put it up, so I will link it down below and you can check out all of these videos. I actually also took part of this year's competition. You might have seen the Winx Fairy Wonderland video that I uploaded, and I actually made that video for Tampere Kuplii, but it didn't make it to the finals. There were 49 videos in total and only 24 made it to the finals, and mine sadly wasn't good enough to make it to the finals. I was honestly a little sad that I didn't make it to the finals, But honestly, like looking at the quality of the videos, yeah, I would say that mine wasn't that much worse than some of the videos, but I can still totally understand why they might not have picked it. The quality, it was overall very, very high, and the videos were good as always. I will say, one of my Finnish friends has been complaining that this Finnish style of AMV making relies super heavily on typography, and there's just so much typography and text on the screen. And I will say that previously I've been like, oh, I haven't really noticed that, or it doesn't really bother me. In this competition, I felt a sort of sense of enlightenment that I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. There was so much typography that at one point I thought that I might have read the competition rules wrong and didn't realize that typography was actually required. But no, like one of my friends had 3 videos in the competition and several of their videos didn't have any typography either, but it was just so prevalent that I was wondering if my style just wasn't fitting with the sort of trends and things that Finnish judges would prefer seeing at a competition. But I do think that I'm also not technically a very strong editor, so I don't think it's just that. But regardless, this was definitely the time where I felt that, okay, I'm kind of fed up and tired with all of the typography as well. I want to focus more on the video, and the text is at times distracting from the video. That being said, there were several videos that I still really, really loved, regardless of the fact that the lyrics were on the screen all the time, such as the Shadow House video and also the Free Run video, which also got one of the judges awards, which I was really happy about because I wasn't sure if I enjoyed that video so much because I also love Free Run. Like, it was obviously still a good video, but am I too biased by the fact that it's a Free Run video? But also at this competition I wasn't judging myself, so I was like, I can give a biased audience vote as well, it's fine. But I was really, really happy when that video was also mentioned by the judges, and just overall so many good videos, like you can see. So yeah, it actually felt really refreshing and nice when there were videos with less typography, but still overall a really good competition. I would also say that this contest leans surprisingly heavy on the darker and sadder side still. They had a Best Dystopia and Best Utopia award, which I assume was there because AMVs tend to lean and skew more towards the darker themes when it comes to contests. I think it's easier to do heavy themes well than it is to do humor well. At least for me personally, it's hard to do the kind of humor that everyone feels is funny. I find that really, really hard. And I just also personally really enjoy doing angsty videos, but when it's a competition and it's all angst and sadness, that can leave you feeling really heavy. So I feel like for that reason they tried to have utopia and dystopia to balance out, but there were still a lot of heavy themes. I will mention that I think it was very cool that one of the AMVs was using old Japanese cinema. This was an AMV Plus competition, which means, as you have been able to see here, that stuff from things other than animation was also allowed. And I do love these kinds of competition because I think that gives the videos even more variety, and that means that there is even more variety. There was also a heated rivalry AMV, which was very, very popular with the audience. Like, you could physically hear it. It also had this year's Finland's Eurovision song as the background music, so I think that made it particularly beloved as well, maybe. Anyways, great videos. Make sure to check all of them out. I'll link them down below in a playlist. Check them out. We had also secured tickets to the cosplay competition, but we had done plenty of sitting by the time the AMV contest was over, so we decided to release our seat tickets so that someone else can have them, and decided to go back to the main vendors area and check out the stuff they had. And here you can see some of the stuff they had. Again, lots of art, lots of sellers who are sort of borderline artists borderline vendors. Very, very cool stuff. A lot of it I have seen at other Finnish conventions as well. Overall, I've always been very impressed by the selection at Tampere Kuplii, and I feel like this year I didn't get such a wow effect as I have gotten on some of the other years, but I think that was just because I didn't find a lot of stuff that was for me personally. Like last year I found some mint condition Winx magazines and you can't really top that. But speaking of art, we decided to head on to the artist alley afterwards. The artist alley was in a different building. In order to help with the lines of last year, I think as well, they had put this year's event in different buildings. So some of it was in the Tampere University building, which was basically just another building over. The artist alley did have a line, but it went super fast. We weren't there like an hour or anything. I think it was maybe like 20 minutes most. And the artist alley was on 2 floors. There were a few tables on the ground floor, and then on the first floor there were more artists on 2 sides of the floor. Saturday was hard to film. As you can see, there were a lot of people. And they did regulate the amount of people who got into the building, so I wouldn't really criticize them too hard for that. There was room within the building, but because everyone wants to see the vendors, everyone wants to see their tables, they all get really close to the tables, so there's no room to see the art still. Even though there's plenty of space in the middle of the room, it's still really hard to see the art. And also really hard to film, which is why there isn't a lot of footage of the artist alley on the first day. On the second day, we decided to head to the artist alley first because we didn't have any lectures we wanted to hear in the morning. So we headed to the artist alley in the morning, and as you can see, there was no line. The lines are always much shorter on Sunday, so if you want to avoid the lines, if that is your main concern, definitely go on Sunday. There's less of a line on Sunday, and the artist alley was much more airy. They had also fixed some of the problems. There was this one area of one of the rooms where people would just gather and there would be no way to move at all, and they had added extra dividers to divide up the space and to give people specific routes to go and leave from. So very good organization. Even on the first day they had already put people there to try and manage the crowds, but on the second day they had added extra dividers, and that really helped. I will say that going on Sunday, a lot of artists had sold some of their stuff, and there were also a lot of artists who weren't there on both days, so the artist alley does change between days, so that is something to consider. I did find one artist who sold these sets of Winx Club wings, which were very cool, and I did consider getting them but didn't in the end because I wasn't sure what I would do with these specific stickers. I didn't get a lot of art this time. I will show you all of the stuff I got. I would say that this year there really wasn't much Wangxian, which I was surprised and saddened by. I guess the hype around them is dying down a little bit, which is very sad for me. There was loads of Hualien and Heaven Official's Blessing, and I like Hualien just fine. It's just that I like Wangxian even better, and there wasn't really a lot of Wangxian art. At least I didn't see a lot. Maybe I missed some on the first day because again the artist alley was really packed on Saturday, but on Sunday I was also really looking and didn't find any. So here you can see all of the stuff I got. I got this beautiful Scumvillain Shen Shinju art, which is an artist whom I love. I have some of their other art. Sadly, they didn't have any Wangxian, so I got this. I absolutely love this art. Then from the main vendors area, I got C3 Arts Hualien stickers. I just love her style. She is an Estonian artist. I will link her down below, which feels a bit like bringing wood to the forest, but I love her art. Then I got this Wangxian sticker, which is really cute, which I do think I actually already own, but as I said, I felt like there was so little Wangxian at the artist alley that I still wanted to get it. Then we wanted to go and check out a lecture about BL, but because we got back to the main building quite early, there was still another lecture going on about European comics, so we listened to the end of that as well. And then there was a lecture about why we read BL. It was interesting. It was an interesting take for me. I am technically in the BL fandom, but I would say that I don't enjoy classical BL, which puts me in a very weird position as someone who runs an MXDX Tampere group, the Estonian fan group. But I don't really like this sort of very classical BL, and Tampere is obviously very, very inspired by BL. So very, very interesting lecture about the reasons why people might read BL. Doesn't resonate with me specifically, but I don't think it's supposed to. I don't think it's meant to, and that's absolutely fine. But still, some interesting reading suggestions as well, and I might check them out as well. And the speaker was very, very good and spoke very interestingly. So I really enjoyed that. Then we went on to the AMV competition Jonnet ei muista, which was another AMV competition, which was like a retro style competition. You had to use both audio and media that was at least 15 years old or older, and the videos were short. Everyone could only submit one. On the main competition you could submit up to 3, but in this competition you could submit only 1, I think, and the videos had to be between 45 seconds and 1.5 minutes. So a much shorter format as well. Usually it's around up to 5 minutes, and I absolutely loved this format. I think this was a really, really fun idea, and I actually wish that I had done a Wings AMV for this competition, partially because everyone who submitted something for this competition got in, because there weren't that many submissions, and I could have done a Wings Club AMV for this as well. But I saw the competition way too late and properly understood and looked into the rules way too late, so it's my bad. I do hope that they do it again. It was such a fun format. I actually enjoyed this competition more in a way, because even though it wasn't maybe technically as strong, it felt like people weren't taking themselves so seriously. And I know that sounds weird, like you're thinking, oh, it's AMVs, how seriously people are taking it. People do take it seriously, and I take AMV making seriously as well, in a sense that I think it's an art form. I absolutely love it. I think it's an art form, but I also love when people just have fun. Like, these videos felt like people were just having fun. These videos felt very much like something I would have watched on YouTube when I was younger, and people would have made and uploaded on YouTube just for fun, and it was very, very cool, and I absolutely loved it. And there were also really fun and unique medias here as well. Like, somebody made a bold and beautiful AMV, which I think is absolutely great. And there was also a Star Trek AMV by one of these all-stars of Finnish AMV competitions. Like, it was 2 people, like, they win so many awards at Finnish competitions in general. They also won some at Tampere Kuplii, but I see their names pop up all the time. Here you can see the judges' introduction. There was this little fun tidbit about the judges going missing and going on holiday and being upset that they were asked to judge because they were old enough to remember the formats. It was fun. It was great fun. One of my friends got an award as well. If they have made a playlist for this as well, I will definitely link that down below. A super fun format, really enjoyable, really light and fun to watch. So I definitely hope that they have this style of AMV competition in the future as well. And overall, I think it's a really fun idea to have AMV competitions that have a specific theme like this, that isn't too narrow and still gives you plenty of space to work with, but that has like an era constraint almost. I think that's really cool. And I was actually really inspired to do more AMVs. Like, the AMV I did for Kuplii that didn't get into the main competition still did really well on YouTube, and after watching all of these AMVs, I was inspired to still do more and try. There is an article, it's Comic-Con coming up in Finland, and the deadline is this week, but I am almost done with one of my videos. So there will definitely be more Wings AMVs from me in the future, because I am working on one that I'm planning to submit. We'll see if it gets in or not, but either way it will end up here on YouTube unless copyright really screws me over. So there will be more Wings AMVs from me in the future as well. Afterwards, we just looked around at the main sales area some more. I didn't buy anything, I mainly just wanted to hang out, find some of my friends, which I did. One of the people I used to be friends with had an autograph signing, and I was hoping to see them, but I didn't. But overall, I managed to see most of my friends that I wanted to see. So I'm just here showing you the nice stuff and figures and things they sold. The vendor's hall was very nice, pretty usual for Finnish cons. I didn't see anything that I had like never seen before, any like never before seen store. I mean, I did see some cool figures and things I hadn't seen before, like this Shakugan Ashana figure. Like one of my best friends absolutely loves Shakugan Ashana, so I was really excited to see that. That's pretty rare. And there was other fun stuff as well. I didn't buy anything. I'm really happy with the convention. I think the organization is really, really good. They solve problems quickly when they arrive, and it's a free convention that is really solid and really good in quality, in my opinion. So definitely, if you can check it out, do check it out in the future. I did hear that there were some accessibility issues when it came to queuing, but personally I didn't experience that. If you have enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe, leave this video a like, and check out some of my other videos that YouTube is recommending to you here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!